Good morning and welcome to another edition of Law Talks here on 4CRB. Well, for many couples, pets aren't just animals, they're part of the family. But when relationships break down, deciding who keeps the family dog or cat can become a surprisingly emotional and complex issue. And this is something that's actually changed recently with updates to Australian family law, now recognising pets differently in property settlements. To explain how the courts approach these situations when couples can't agree, we're joined by Attwood Marshall Lawyers Family Law Associate Breanna Farrell. Thanks for joining us, Breanna.
No, thank you for having me.
Well, to start, how were pets traditionally treated under family law when couples separated?
Historically, when couples separated, pets, or should I say fur babies,
Yes,
were treated as property or chattels. Rather than as family members or as our precious fur babies, as we like to refer to them as. Under that traditional approach, the court didn't really apply a best interest principle as it would for children. The court did not make any kind of parenting style or custody orders for our pets. And the issue was generally framed as one of ownership and property as an adjustment, not necessarily as a welfare or ongoing relational arrangement. And the court didn't consider either party's emotional attachment or emotional reliance on the pet. So the court would look at matters such as who purchased the animal, whose name appeared on the registration or the microchip or vet records, and who paid the ongoing expenses such as food and vet bills, and who was primarily responsible for the day-to-day care of that particular animal.
Okay, so there have been some changes over the past year in this space. Can you explain what's changed and how the law now deals with pets differently?
Of course. So the family law underwent some, well, as you said, some great amendments, in my view, which changed how property settlements in relation to pets were determined, including allowing the courts to determine a dispute about the ownership of our precious fur babies.
Okay, so if a couple can't agree on who keeps the pet, or one person has already taken the pet, how are these disputes usually resolved?
So if people can't reach an agreement as to who should take the pet, your first step was trying to negotiate. If negotiations were unsuccessful, then you can seek the court's guidance by filing an application to seek formal orders about a family pet as a last resort.
And when a court is deciding who should keep a pet, what factors are taken into account?
So there's still that real historical approach as to, in terms of, how the pet was originally acquired, who has current ownership or possession of the pet. But now they're looking further than just the extent of who takes primary care of that animal. They also will look at it, whether there's a history of family violence between the parties, whether there is any threatened or cruelty or abuse towards the pet, and also the level of attachment between the pet and each of the parties, or if there was a primary party that really has that emotional attachment to the animal, and including the children as well.
Yeah, it's a big part, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And a lot of people talk about shared custody of pets. Is that something the courts will actually order?
The short answer is no. And the reason for that is that courts really like to make orders that are least likely to result in further conflict between the parties or dispute.
Okay.
So ordinarily the court really likes to make an order that the pet will go with one particular person. And if it goes really left field and the court is not satisfied that either party could or should be in charge of the animal, then it can order that the pet be sold.
Oh, wow. Okay. And are there steps people can take early on, even before separation, to avoid disputes over pets later on? So I guess it's like a prenup for pets.
Essentially, yeah. Or what we call a binding...
Financial. Well, it's not financial,
well, not really
is it?
Financial. Or a fur parenting plan. I think we're going to have to get creative on the names. But look, people can enter into private agreements as to the caring of their pet, or alternatively, they can enter into a consent order in relation to the ownership of the pet. I would suggest that get all your ducks in a row. Quote unquote, all your fur babies in a row, make sure you're holding on to those, those beautiful keepsake family photos. Really have an understanding of the microchipping. Ensure your name is on the microchip.
Yes.
And keep records of your vet bills and your vet attendances and things like that.
Well, that's a very interesting topic today, Breanna. Thank you. And it's clear pets are now being taken more seriously in family law, and having those discussions early can help avoid disputes down the track. So thank you for your advice today.
No, thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Law Talks here on 4CRB, which you can hear every Friday morning from 9 o'clock.